right, welcome everybody to Brit's on this beautiful Sunday morning, getting ready for the World Cup final. My name is Kendra D. St. Aubin. I'm with Minnesota United. I'm joined here by Manny Lagos, the sporting director, and of course Ethan Finley, our midfielder. I know you guys are really busy tuning in and getting ready for this final, and I am incredibly impressed parking my car at 8:15 this morning and not being able to find a parking spot and seeing the hordes of people just flooding in for this final. This is awesome. We'll be out of your hair, out of your way in about 15-20 minutes, but we've been doing this throughout the World Cup just to kind of have a forum and a panel to discuss the World Cup, to discuss the teams, the games, the matchups that have been going on. So we'll give you guys a little lowdown on the World Cup here in the final. So first of all, guys, welcome and good morning.
Good morning.
Are we good here? There we go. Awesome. All right. Good morning. I know it's early. We all had a little bit of a late night last night with a fantastic win for Minnesota United and on a home field. All right. Woo!
Yeah.
So I don't know how many more times a goalkeeper is going to get chipped by Darwin Quintero, but maybe not. Maybe not. That's two good goalkeepers that have had that done to them now.
Week, I guess.
Yeah, I think last night was an example of what's to come in this great Twin Cities. Obviously today, seeing this crowd, the people out here, the excitement to watch a final is amazing. And again, I think there's some synergy between the two. I mean, the energy last night, the goals were world class. Then to have it 3-2. You know, I had some chance to think about the fans last night. Our Minnesota fans, the people that are here cheering for this, they really willed us to that win again last night. We gave up a couple soft goals late in the game. We had to defend for about 7 minutes, really tough, and the crowd just cheered and kept the guys going. It was a great win last night.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd last night was awesome, and we've been very fortunate that we've always had awesome crowds at TCF Bank Stadium. It's only going to get better at Allianz Field. Looking ahead to this matchup, Ethan, who do you got in the final as far as who's going to win it? But more importantly, let's talk about breaking it down. We've talked a lot about France and Croatia leading into this matchup, and we did so before the semifinal as well. Two very different styles and different teams. Who do you have winning it? And then we'll go backwards and break it down.
Yeah, I'll have to go with France. France this whole tournament has gotten better and better every game, and we saw it in their last match against Belgium. A really good, young, talented Belgium team in their golden years right now, and they were kind of able to stun them very early and shut down some of the best players in the world, all playing on the same team. Like, I thought that was maybe the best front four of the whole tournament in Belgium, but France defensively was so solid. So I see the French coming out on top. I continue to think that the legs of the Croatians are going to go at some point.
We said that before the last game too, didn't we?
I know I did. But if the Croatians can figure it out in 90 minutes, they have a chance. But I think France will be overpowering today.
How about you, Manny?
I've had France the whole tournament.
You've had France the whole way, haven't you?
The whole tournament. So no, but I would put a little caution. This is a very good Croatian team. This is a Croatian team that, you know, has showed no weakness, especially throughout the tournament. They've gotten better every single game, and they've gotten better within every single game. They've always finished a stronger team. So I would make sure that if I was France, that I would understand that this is a very potent opponent they're playing today.
For those of you listening right now, I know there's a lot going on. Who's got France winning the World Cup final today? All right, yeah, there you go. Let's hear it for Croatia. Wow. How about it?
Underdog mentality, I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they've played a full 90 minutes more now in the tournament than France has, and we keep talking about how that it's going to catch up to Croatia at some point, but it also seems like it's almost energized them. The fact that they've gone down by 1 goal in the last 3 matches and come back to win those games, that doesn't happen very often, and especially in elimination games. So is there something to be said for just momentum and sort of that grittiness of this Croatia side, aside from their skill? I mean, they're very technical, but what is it about this team that they just seem to get it done regardless of going down in these matches?
It's the resiliency for me. This team has bounced back. This team has, gone through multiple PK shootouts now.
Yes.
You know, I was reading a story this morning about the guy who, in the first game, who was asked to be subbed on, and they sent him home after the first game, and I can't imagine what he's feeling right now.
Wow.
But for a team to, lose a player at some point in the tournament, and that could, derail them a little bit, could throw some of the guys off. For the coaching staff and for that team to rally around each other, and come out of a very tough group with Argentina, who were my favorites to start the tournament, and have continued to be resilient throughout this tournament. They've got it done in their own way, and that's why they're such a tough challenge. And they've got game changers. Luka Modric is a top 5 player in the world, and goals change games, and that'll be my key today. An early Croatian goal can change a game, can change a final. It's a one-off, and we'll have to see what happens.
I feel like we've heard that somewhere, goals change games. I don't know if we've heard that from anybody, maybe an Adrian Heath in Minnesota United locker room as well.
Well, I'll throw in the finals, defense is important. Being organized, being structured. One of the things I love about today, again, I love that Ethan brought up, Croatia's no joke. They're a team. They're not one individual, and if a player wasn't in line, he got sent home. So that was a great message early in the tournament for them, and then a great storyline that they've made it to the final. But I think the chess match for me, Kendra, is that you have two teams on paper that have lined up the same way. They're both going to play a 4-2-3-1, so it looks like it's going to be an even matchup, but if you really dive into it, Croatia is the way they play. There's no difference. The difference with France is their middle three, between Pogba, Matuidi, and Conte, it's a little bit displaced. The three of them really kind of create their 4-2-3-1, so it's a little bit, I think Matuidi is going to be the key for them today. If he raises his level, because Conte's been amazing, I think they'll have an advantage there. If they drop it, I think that's where Croatia can take some advantage because they're a little bit more disciplined with their system today.
So when you talk about that, and a lot of times in the 4-2-3-1, we talk about the midfield battle or who's got the numbers up, and we talk about that with Minnesota United. When you're talking about that, so where can the game be won for each side? If you had to pick an element, like if Croatia is going to win this match, where can it be won? If France is going to win this match, where can it be won on the field? Where are they going to dominate or have the edge?
Well, again, I think on paper they play similar with the two number nines. They're very similar players. They battle. They work hard. I think they both had a very, very good tournament. I think Giroud's had the goal that he wants, like Mandzukic did last game. But to me, it is exactly in the middle of the field, particularly because Rakitic and Modric are world-class players. They've shown it throughout the entire tournament. They play for the biggest clubs in the world. Conte's just still continuing being a rising star, and everybody now thinks that he might be one of the players of the tournament. And that's why I bring up Matuidi, because he's in there with Pogba, and the two of them have secretly, quietly been outstanding. And I just mentioned 3 versus 2 there, so I think that's where they could win it.
Oh, there we go. We've got the pregame show on the TV, the jumbotron behind us, and we just got to give another shout out to Brits because this has been awesome the entire World Cup. There's really no better place to watch the games, and you can see a testament with people filing in. They were probably lined up at 6 a.m. last night. Ethan, taking a look at the entirety of the World Cup, 63 games. I think every single game had something in it that just made people's jaws drop or made people really want to tune in. If you maybe weren't a soccer fan, you better be now. I did a hashtag a lot during the tournament, hashtag soccer is boring, because I think we fight that battle sometimes as being in this sport. Nothing boring about this World Cup. Is there a moment or a thought you have to really kind of summarize the tournament?
I mean, there's several moments. I really just think this Croatian run has been a great moment. Such a small country.
Yep.
The path was in no way easy. The resiliency, like I've touched on, I think that has been an absolute highlight. And then I think, as a host country, I think Russia's done a fantastic job. I think maybe there was some doubts coming in. How would the stadiums be? How would the atmosphere be? And I think it's been great. And you combine that with their performance. Obviously, they were in an easy group coming out, but they were able to advance past some very good teams, Spain being one of them. And I think, they showed well for this tournament, and that was good. It's good for soccer. It's good that, a host country like that can put on a great tournament for the world, obviously, to see, and for their own fans.
Well, in 2022 is going to be a whole nother storyline, as it was just announced officially that tournament is going to be played, I believe, November through December. So that's another thing we'll have to tackle altogether. But then 2026, bringing it home here to North America, and that is, can you imagine what this place is going to be like? They're going to have to expand. They're going to have to buy the building next door, I think, to help out with 2026. Going back to this matchup once again, the two sides met 20 years ago in the semifinals of the World Cup in 1998. Very different squads, very different time. But when you look at the matchup between these two countries, what does it say for football in France? What does it say for football in Croatia, and what it means to each of those? We talk about Europe, we talk about other places around the world and what soccer and football means. Can you imagine what the watch parties are like in those two countries?
Well, I think '98 was an amazing game. I remember, I think Croatia was actually up 1-0, and France stormed back to win the game and win the World Cup 2-1 was that game. And I just look at it, it's a big moment for us as a country here, Kendra, to embrace this energy, embrace this effort of these fans, of the support. And, you know, you talked about games in the World Cup. I go back, actually, Japan, Belgium.
Sure.
What an amazing game. And really, to me, out of that World Cup, Japan showed the world, they showed that they have an identity, a passion. Technically, they're very good. I think we need to embrace that in this country and say, hey, we really need to build up to this next World Cup. We have to get excited about developing players, about growing our domestic league, about becoming a global power. I think Japan's going to go home, and they have a great vision now for the next 8 years. I think we're in a unique place here. This is our vision right now, and it's awesome. The fans, the support, but ultimately, the vision should be that we cannot accept not being a global power in soccer, and we have to get there. And again, I think the journey started the day we didn't qualify for the World Cup. The journey started the day that we do all of these appearances. We have all this great support, but we're not cheering this great country that we live in as well because they didn't make the World Cup. So it's exciting, but it's also going to be a big challenge for us for over the next 8 years to really get there.
Well, we talk about young talent, and Amos McGee joined us on the broadcast the other night when we were playing Saprissa, and was asked about Mason Toye and the 19-year-old, and what are you expecting from him? He's such a young player. And he looked at us and he said, well, Mbappe's 19, so age is all relative. What do you see, Ethan, from a young talent perspective, and what does that mean for the U.S. in the future of the next World Cup of 2022?
It's extremely important, and I think, as Manny's touching on here, these people right here are their fans, but after the U.S. didn't qualify, there was this kind of movement of, well, we can't just be satisfied about being with the World Cup now. And I think we had that, you know, okay, every time we make the World Cup, we're satisfied. And now that you don't make it, you have some of these people sitting in this crowd, people all over this country who are dissatisfied, and it's not acceptable. And it's going to be on the shoulders of the young talent and the new coaching staff to make sure that these players are ready for the big time moments. And it helps when you have guys like Christian Pulisic playing in big leagues in the world, having big transfer offers, and we'll continue to have young players playing at a high level overseas and even here. Our league is continuing to get better. There's going to be more and more options for young players to be playing in this league, and we want to build from that youth. It's extremely important. I can tell you right now, a 19-year-old Mason Toye is better than I was at 19.
Yep.
And so they're far ahead in that way. And I can drop my guard down a little bit. Manny's giving this a laugh, hopefully, right?
I like the honesty. I love it.
But it's true. He's got more experience, more exposure at a high level.
Maybe a little more swagger.
A little more swagger. I was watching a Mason Toye game this morning, to be honest. At full disclosure, I was watching the Big Ten championship game from this year. I'm a soccer junkie. I have issues, but. Yeah, I mean, that's what we need, though. We need those guys to be ready and willing to make the jump. And we have to push them to that point. You can coddle them only so much, but it'll be, like I said, these people in this crowd that will say it's acceptable or not acceptable. And right now we're hearing it's not acceptable and we have to be better.
I think it's better, right, to see that people were really fired up and upset. And we talked about this the other day when Michael Bradley was here with Toronto FC and got booed every time he touched the ball from the fans because they're upset that the U.S. didn't qualify for the World Cup, something that was there for the taking, and maybe just didn't have the hunger to accomplish it and finish the job. Manny, you said you were okay with that. Ethan, you maybe not so much. Give the fans here that are here today maybe a little bit of insight on how you feel about that and why you think it's important to hold accountability.
Well, I look at where we are as a country with soccer. I look at 2,100 plus people here at Brit supporting this great game, getting excited about the final. And again, it's all connected. It is. It really is. We are at the point where this country cannot accept complacency in terms of how we perform in the soccer field and how we perform for our national team. And no doubt there's challenges. We have this massive country. We got massive amount of kids that we have to develop. We can do it. We just have to navigate the best way to do it. And I actually think it starts with us in this community embracing that we've got to develop high-level players. Listen, we have a $250 million stadium opening next year.
Cannot wait.
Yeah, the very best stadium in the country for soccer. I have to pinch myself in terms of how amazing it's going to be. We had 3,000 people last night going crazy, watching the game live, into it. It's going to be even better next year. It's going to even be more intense. I want to take that intensity and that excitement that they have. I also want to translate that to our young American kids. To his point, I want a Mason Toye to feel how important it is to step on the field and represent Minnesota United and then represent your country. And again, I think when we have that, I think our next generation of players we'll have a little bit more understanding about the gravity of making it now. We still may fail sometimes, but I think it'll be more of an intensity to do well, to the expectation to be there.
And last but not least, as we're going to wrap this up, the last time the World Cup final was not decided after extra time or penalties was 16 years ago. So prediction, not just who's going to win, we already know what your pick is for that, but what is the score going to be? Are we going to see it in extra time, or are we going to see it in penalties? What do you got?
I'm hoping for early goals. Like I said, goals change games. I'll go 3-1 France. We got 4 goals in the game. It'll be exciting up until maybe the 70th, 80th minute, and when Mbappe gets through and they pull away.
I'm going to go 2-1 France. Again, I'm probably going to be wrong. I think there is a little bit of a war of attrition now at this stage in the tournament.
Sure.
I keep on thinking Croatia's legs are going to die, and they have not died yet this tournament. So I'm going to stick with that prediction and probably be wrong. But again, Allez les Bleus, 2-1.
I think Modric has run like 30-some miles in this tournament with his tracker, so you would like to think that adrenaline can't carry him through all the way, but we'll see. Either way, I think everybody just hopes for an awesome game. Of course, a lot of fans here are rooting for one team or the other. And I know, I'd like to think that all these people are standing around listening to us, but I think they want our spot. I think they want us to move our desk. So thank you so much, everybody. Brits has been fantastic. It's been awesome. Enjoy the final. Come out to the next Minnesota United match. We play Wednesday against the New England Revolution. And then Sunday, we welcome LAFC, the new club in town. So thank you, guys. Enjoy the final, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.